What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Black Twitch League's I guess this is a super week, right? I am Yanni. I am joined by my co-caster, not to be confused for an LPL team. It's RareAdam, and let me tell you, a super week? Black Twitch League Super Week, week 2?
Technically, I'm turning on my microphone right now. Yes, technically a super week with a couple of extra games being played yesterday. Only going to be one tonight and only one tomorrow, but should be interesting to say the least with the sort of expanded format that we have. But we do have our best of 3 here with DPS looking to go 2-0 in the season versus Trebuchet looking for their first win.
Oh my God, and these teams are zooming through the picks and bans, and well, let's see if Trebuchet can have a bit of a better team composition than they did last week. They look really strange. They were missing a lot of people. Now Zagan is back in as well as Dreams. Last week, Operation Ivy, Op Ivy was down in the mid lane, and they had a sub in the bottom lane role. So now that the team's a little bit more set to where they thought it was going to be at the beginning of the season, we'll see if that changes everything. And let me tell you, I already like what Trebuchet has done because DPS only played Soraka in the support role, and it was their first ban.
Yeah, Soraka going to be taken off the table, so just going to make sure that there's a little bit more draft diversity coming through, but you can see the Kennen, the Diana, and the Hecarim are taken off the table, so just a lot of comfort taken away by DPS here against Trebuchet, but Karth is going to be the first pick here and very likely to go jungle. Interesting to see the angle.
Yeah, that's really not in Talus's wheelhouse either.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit off the table. I mean, mentioned that it was a Hecarim pick that they've worked with before. They also play a decent amount of, Kha'Zix from what we saw. So Karth is just a little bit odd to see early picked here, but it can provide a lot of power coming through the jungle. If that's where it comes through, it could still be a Karthus mid lane or Karthus in the bot lane position as well. So Karthus does give you some flexibility in draft.
Hey, listen, we've all seen first strike Karthus does a heck of a lot of damage. Trebuchet, they're putting Red Strike on this Karma that they've had a lot of success with in solo queue, and even last week while they went 0-2, had a pretty solid game on it. And then Dreams is going to be able to pick up Jinx, one of the strongest bot lanes that you can see at this point.
Yeah, I think that Jinx plus any sort of Enchantress gives you so much power. Jinx especially able to get those resets on kills. Of note, the Zeri is still up and available, so interesting to see Trebuchet not opt for the Zeri instead for the Jinx, leaving the door open for a DPS to pick that up if they desire, but looks like they're just going to go with that Ashe, so sort of pigeonholing that Karthus to the top side of the map now, very likely to be jungle now.
Yeah, and you know what? It feels like Ashe just does not fit Connection's play style well. I don't... It feels kind of weird. They like to play very aggressive champions like Tristana and Lucian. And sure, Ashe can be aggressive in her own right, but she mostly just poke and then high CC ability. It will follow it up with the Nautilus, though. So that lane, you're going to get locked down.
It's going to basically lock down anyone who wants to try and engage that lane. Any ganks are going to be a little bit more difficult now. The Jinx is going to have to be a lot more cognizant of where they're positioning in this lane because Ashe is going to be able to slow you down, set up for that Nautilus. But in response, they pick up that Shen on the top side of the map. So Op Ivy here going to feel a little bit more supportive in this position, be able to keep this Jinx alive as long as possible, which is the goal for Dreams in this game. They need to stay alive because thus far they're drafting a Protect the Jinx comp.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange that Op Ivy has opted into the Shen as opposed to their Kennen that they've been so good on, although they struggled last week in the mid role. And I mean, you can protect the Jinx by just running through a team with a Kennen.
Yeah. That's why it's been banned.
Oh, wait, it was banned, wasn't it? It was the first ban. Yo, shut up.
Yeah, but it does still...
I'm the worst.
It leaves some agency left to be... you need to be careful as the Jinx in this position. And we've seen some pocket picks come through from Aliskander before with the Rakan mid lane last week, which is still available and on the board. I don't know if they are going to take that, but the biggest thing to keep in mind is Karthus ult is indiscriminate of how many shields you get. It will still cut through you, and especially since Karthus is like to go for Shadow Flame, things like that, it will make life very difficult. And with that Xin Zhao ban, it does mean it's very likely this Karthus is going into the jungle because Xin Zhao is sort of the main counter to the farming playstyle there because Karthus doesn't really have any agency to keep themselves safe. But that is another option for themselves. Udyr, very good early skirmishing, means that Karthus has to be very careful in terms of their pathing. They always need to make sure that they've got the wards set up before they go in for any sort of farming plays.
And now the big question that I have is here: what is Quaggart going to play in the top lane? So Quaggart last week playing Cho'Gath and Ornn, and both of those are now gone. So we might be digging deep into the bag of tricks here for the DPS top laner. We do see that the Yone was locked in. Looks like that one's probably going to go over to Aliskander after the Victor ban, and followed up with a Malphite. This team looks like it can pump out a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, it's Malphite setting up for Yone, and then you get the Karthus ultimate over the top. So seems like a very interesting angle, I think, for what they're looking for. I can see them doing really well in team fights. I'm more so worried about their laning phases in a way because Shen going to be doing really well into Malphite. Lissandra is a pretty good answer into the Yone as well to make things challenging, and Karthus has to be so careful of Udyr just invading. So this early game coming through from Trebuchet, definitely playing to their win conditions, and it could mean things are challenging as the side of DPS try and scale up.
Yeah. And realistically speaking, whenever you get Udyr, I feel like, you know how like certain champions in League have like a global taunt? Like Teemo has a global taunt. You know, everybody's just like, you know what? We're going to go kill the Teemo. Udyr also has a global taunt because people are incessant upon chasing Udyr.
You can't catch him.
Yeah, exactly.
We should know this from Trick 2G and all of that stuff. You cannot catch Udyr in any way, shape, or form if he has items on him. If he has, goes for Dead Man's Plate, goes for Force of Nature, goes for all of that cool stuff. So regardless, we should be hopping into draft here if everything works.
Yeah, it looks like we are. Hell yeah. We're getting there. We're on the get there plan.
Is it
Let
working?
me tell you, we are getting there. Oh, it's you got some spice?
Yeah, I got some spice. I'm trying to make sure it works. Let's see.
Come on, show me the spice. All right, so realistically, looking at these team compositions, it seems like Trebuchet's team composition is a little bit disjointed. It feels like the Udyr doesn't fit for me. I don't know how you feel about that. Otherwise, you've got Lissandra, who's going to be able to, run amok in the middle of the enemy team. Shen is going to be able to protect the Jinx. Karma going to be able to protect the Jinx. But it just feels like the Udyr doesn't fit.
Oh
no!
I broke it. Uh-oh.
You broke it?
Uh-oh. We'll fix it. We'll figure it out, but Sag. it's breaking. No, what's going on?
No. All right, Adam. Tell me, how does this Udyr fit into this team composition? I've got major questions about it.
Yeah, the Udyr, it's interesting because it gives you a lot more skirmish power. That's the main thing to keep in mind. You have a lot of ways to get in and out of fights with this champion, and it also gives you a way for Shen to kind of get into the fight as well, because Udyr just runs into the middle of everyone with a shield, makes it incredibly difficult to stay alive and stay relevant there. If you don't have that Shen shield. So Udyr just wants to go and bear slap everyone and just sort of cause chaos and be that front line for Dreams on this bottom side of the map. That's the main goal of their composition, and they just need to execute upon that as well.
It's not really the best front line, honestly. I mean, you do have the Shen as well as your front line, but I don't know, Udyr is trying to come in from angles from the side, and I don't know. And it seems kind of weird. And taking a look at the Shen and the Karma for protection on the Jinx, can you really protect the Jinx against the Malphite Yone?
I think there is ways to do so. So I'm just going to switch the overlays back over. I'll test this out between games again. There are ways for it to work. I think that Malphite makes it difficult to keep the Jinx alive. I think it's really going to be down to Dreams opting for something like the Gale Force, the Karma being able to provide those AoE shields onto everyone, and Lissandra they need to try and get the jump onto Quaggart, I think, is the main thing, because a lot of times Malphites, they don't want to die, more so than they want to get their ults off, so sometimes they will ult away, and that's sort of your goal. You want to try and force Malphite to use that ult suboptimally only onto one member, maybe. If you're running Udyr, Shen, Lissandra right into the Malphite's face, it does create a gap between either ulting the Jinx or ulting the other 3 members. And sometimes getting a 3-man ult but not including the Jinx is just as bad as only getting a 1-man ult on the Jinx. So, ideally Quaggart just hits everyone, but it's going to be difficult for this side of DPS to make it work against Trebuchet's comp. Granted, DPS, they've got a really straightforward composition. It's just press R on everyone and kill everyone.
Yeah, this is the ultimate press R composition. So really, it's going to be on Trebuchet to try to get the advantage early on in the game. Before these champions hit their spikes once they hit level 6, and you can kind of get a little bit aggressive with a Karma, with a Lissandra.
Yes, you can go quite aggressive. Lissandra has some early game agency to her. She's got that wave clear. She has the safety as well at level 6. If she opts for the Aftershock as well, she will be able to make sure Aliskander can't really get into that backline as easily and keep herself safe. But overall, I think that once you get to that mid game, it's going to be where Talus, Aliskander, Your Bad Connection really going to start to rise up in priority as they're able to get some of those item break points. That will make life incredibly difficult for this Jinx, because Karthus on 2 items using ultimate will half health anyone, especially if you're Jinx. So it's going to be difficult to stay alive.
And if you got first strike, that's a lot of money in your pocket
That's big money moves. That's
one thing we haven't really talked about is, DPS, they're going to need to be a little safe here as they scale later on and, hit their breakpoints, because Trebuchet, their pick potential is really, really good.
Their pick potential is out of this world. You have Shen Taunt, you have Udyr Bear Slap, you've got Lissandra Ultimate. It's so much crowd control to set up for Jinx to do well in these sort of picks. So skirmishes may kilter towards Trebuchet, but it's really hard to hate the team comp come out from DPS here.
Well, they're putting everything into the Jinx basket is Team Trebuchet. We will see if it pays off for them. We are currently in the spectator delay, but do not go anywhere, because once we return from this delay, we'll get all the action between Game 1 of Team DPS and Team Trebuchet for Black Twitch League's second week, second day. Here we go, everybody. It is our only series for the day. Team DPS versus Team Trebuchet. And let me tell you, Team Trebuchet, they're looking for their first win this season. They didn't look so hot last week, but after a couple of roster changes, we'll see how this team looks. It's a fresh look for these guys. A fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, curious to see how they do look in this matchup here. Of note, right now they're looking on the wrong side of the map. Actually, both of these teams are going to move like ships in the night. Going to end up going for a little bit of counter invades on both sides, but the side of Trebuchet, they might
swapped
something out.
Oh, Talus isn't around anymore. This is going to be a 5v4.
Oh my.
They're going to run right into Team Trebuchet. Let's go. Let's start a fight, baby. Hook down on
Up Ivy.
that shed. Up Ivy is going to live. And they trade 1 for 1 as down goes Alice Kander. Staples, though, is getting run out. And
Talus.
oh, no. They got the drop on them, but they're getting run out the rift. Talus is getting low, and Dreams is pumping out as much damage as possible.
Oh!
Zagan, though, is going to fall to Talus. No, it's an absolute disaster. Team DPS. They take the level 1 fight 3 for 1, and it was a 4v5!
Yeah, Talus just loops around and joins at the end of that play, but ends up dealing the most damage, I think. Overall, it's going to make this jungle pathing a little bit odd from both of these members, especially since Talus is really reliant on his team to sort of help him with that early buff. So Your Bad Connection is going to come to lane a little bit late, but overall, this Karthus is going to feel really good about it. Did get a Dark Harvest stack, so didn't opt to go for the first strike.
Oh.
Which sucks, but at the same time, Dark Harvest is still really reliable at cleaning up those kills, especially on a champion like Karthus.
Listen, you might have been able to put a fresh coat of paint onto the Trebuchet, but there's a reason why the Trebuchet is not used in military warfare anymore.
It doesn't have enough damage per second.
How long did you have that one cooked up today?
3 seconds.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of damage per second. So realistically speaking, and I mean, you see Quaggart is dying, and now there's a potential engagement down here, but Fierce Sparrow didn't have a lot of HP to start with. Dreams is level 2. Your Bad Connection trying to put down as much damage as they can. They will be able to protect their Nautilus, but, you know, this is really not what you envisioned when you started out for the game. And really, what does Trebuchet have to do now? Because they're already behind the 8-ball.
Yeah, the Udyr here actually getting first blood isn't the worst case scenario because they're able to pick up early boots. I think that you need to try and get this Udyr down to this bottom side of the map to try and make a play on this lane, or even in the mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to make a play on Alice Kander, who still has their flash available. Looks like Bear Stance ran out, but there's a good buff, a little bit late of a buffer, I should say. Alice Kander is going to be able to find their way back over the wall, but it's a flash down for the opposing mid lane.
Well played to get the flash off of Alice Kander here, especially when it's going to be a little bit of a challenging lane. Alice Kander did take the early death, but was able to get back to lane. Oh,
Quaggart flashing away. Op Ivy has been really just dominating the lane so far, even though Quaggart did manage to find a kill and 2 assists. It's been all Shenpai right now.
It's been Shen controlling this lane, and that's exactly what we expected. That's what we wanted to see from the beginning. Granted, Malphite's going to get a nicer back off because they have a kill and 2 assists, so end up sort of making up for lost gold. Now they'll be able to clean up this wave under turret as well as Op Ivy just shoves it in. Shouldn't use the teleport here to save that cooldown, but overall, really well played from the side of Op Ivy to really push Quaggart out of lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that one develops further because, as we know, as Malphite starts getting big, once he gets that Bammy Cinder, it's going to take a lot to try to kill him.
Yeah, he becomes the Bungus, so to speak. So
the Bungus!
Yes, and honestly, I have casted a lot this week, and I have found myself using the term Bungus a lot more than I thought I ever would, but...
You're welcome.
Yes, honestly, best call.
They found the engagement under Red Strike, but that is not who you wanted to fight. Dreams is just ripping these guys apart. One more rocket, flash for flash, but it doesn't matter. You're too slow. A nice sidestep, and Dreams with a double kill in the bot lane. All of a sudden, we got a game again.
That's basically the best case scenario for that bot lane. They're able to find a double kill onto the Jinx. She'll be able to back and get a Noon Quiver now, and potentially those boots as well. And, you know, Talus is going to clean up this bottom side of the map, but not able to find any Dark Harvest stacks from what I can tell. So realistically, it's just Talus being a little bit behind on the play. Alice Kander, though,
going for it. Not sure if you're going to be able to find this kill. Sagan, that was That was a yes. Normally, you do not throw your claw in the direction of where death is, but they will get away with one there, and luckily they didn't get a little too hyphy. But Aliskander so far trading very well into Zagan.
Yeah, and very ahead in the CS as well. Looking at the gold already, it's 400 gold. That's a kill's worth of gold in favor of this Yone thus far. And even on the top side of the map, this Shen has been doing a great job of getting back into this lane to sort of make Quegger, think a little bit more about their trades, think about how to really make this jump to level 6, and now that Op Ivy has that, they can try and look for some aggressive plays with the Shen ultimate. Quegger can't stop it right now, so might be able to come through here. Yep.
Yeah, this was an aggressive play. There, like you said, that Shen ultimate is here. Op Ivy lands the taunt onto connection. It's a split fight. Talus on the other side is going to fall. Red Strike is getting credit for that kill. A couple more auto attacks should be able to do it, but they aren't able to take down Fierce Sparrow or Connection. So just like that, they only get one kill out of it, but you're still pretty happy with that play as the pings go down on the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, you'll be able to get all these members down here on the bottom side of the map. You get your bad connection and Fierce Sparrow low enough that they can't really contest this, despite there being 5 members on this bottom side of the map. Talus goes down. Unfortunately, Dreams isn't able to get an assist on it, which would have made them... which would have enabled them to get excited, enabled them to continue to push forward. So unfortunately, that isn't going to work out for them. But this wave is freezing on the bottom half of the map. If Dreams, is able to keep that in check, they can start to expand upon this lead, and has the extra double longsword there, so is dishing out some decent damage.
Yeah, pickaxe double longsword. I guess they just wanted to match connection and just say, you know what, I'm going to deal far more damage than you could possibly imagine. And so far it's working out decently for them, as Aliskander and Zagan, they're both at level 6. Interested to see if any fights will develop from there. Again, Aliskander just getting the better of Zagan and building a 30 CS lead at the 7.5 minute mark is not what you wanted to see out of your mid laner if you were Team Trebuchet.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Yone is Y1 in terms of some of those people's tier list. He's able to farm up really well and can really survive in these sort of range versus melee matchups, because Yone, in the same vein as his brother Yasuo, is sort of ranged as well as melee with some of their abilities. Dashing forward, being able to have that gap close is a big bread and butter ability for Aliskander, and especially when you got that Fate Sealed as a really long-range knock-up engage tool, it can make these matchups a little bit easier for you.
So far, so good for Aliskander, just playing the farm it up game. Whenever you have a scoreline like 0-1 and 2, you feel pretty bad about it. But Talus getting aggressive, but Aliskander coming to save the jungler. Talus will be able to get a kill there. But meanwhile, Zagan had roamed up to the top lane, and they find a kill on the Quegger. But now there's a hook down onto this Lissandra, might not have anywhere to go. Aliskander trying to get closer. Flash over the wall for Zagan, but Aliskander is going to wait and is probably going to dash. No, yes, they will dash over the wall. But they're not going to be able to take out this Lissandra, but Lissandra getting denied quite a bit here, and the top side of the jungle for Staples Official has been ravaged.
Yeah, you don't normally expect Talus to be the one invading there, but is able to find a really successful play. Bottom side, though, your bad connection is going to be zoned way off this wave, and as we were saying, Dreams has been able to sort of keep the lane on their side of the map here. Might be looking to push now to get a little bit more of an advantage, but has that Noon Quiver now. This Ashe isn't really able to reset in this lane state either, because if she resets, they just turn it into a fast push there. If she stays, she's just zoned off of this farm here by Red Strike, so big wave crashing down there. I want to see Talus maybe come down to try and help them stay alive here, because this Jinx now level 6 compared to the level 5 on both of those other enemy bot laners could mean trouble, especially if Fierce Sparrow takes a big chunk of damage like that.
Yeah, first plate taken for the bot lane of Dreams and Red Strike. And, while the gold is still even for now, it's a very slippery slope once the Jinx starts getting some gold in their pocket. And a champion that's so adept at taking towers like that, you really need to send some assistance down here, like you mentioned. And Talus needs to make something happen. He's got to help this bot lane. Meanwhile, here in the mid lane, Aliskander is in a whole heap of trouble trying to head back to the turret. This is going to snap back. Here comes the ultimate down from Lissandra. They're layering the CC. But now the ultimate down from Talus, but the shield is massive as Shenpai noticed you, Zagan, and you will live. and they will manage to find themselves their second kill of the game. And there's a long cooldown for Talus as well.
Yeah, they sent some help down onto Zagan to keep them safe, and the shield was enough to, and they stand united and end up saving this Lysandra from a very imminent fate, but nope. First strike might have had a little bit more damage, might have had a little bit more gold, could have made it work, Talus, but unfortunately for the side of DPS, Trebuchet definitely coming out with a more proactive early game thus far. They've done a good job of playing towards their win conditions, and this Lysandra, despite being down almost 30 CS, is starting to claw open a little bit of a better situation, only down 200 gold because of those 2 kills.
Yeah, you know what? You're pretty happy with that. If, CS difference be damned. As long as you got some gold in your pocket and you're not too far behind, you're pretty happy with that. Boom, baby! Dreams with the Super Mega Death Rocket killing your bad connection. 3-0-1 on this Jinx, and that is turret platings because Fierce Sparrow had to back. Now in the top lane, Quaker getting very low and is on the wrong side of the lane as Staples official will look to try to find a kill. Alice Kander engaging back in onto Zagan. Zagan, why did you do that? It's a big shutdown. And in the top lane, Quaker actually got away.
Yeah. Use the unstoppable force to be able to get out of there. Still had the flash available as well, so Quaker doing a great job of just soaking up pressure on the side lane, but yeah, Zagan in this mid lane is Zagan after Alice Kander is able to find that kill, so well played across the map for the side of DPS. Ends up being, I think, a 1-for-1, but overall, they're still doing a great job of keeping themselves within striking distance, and when you've got the scaling of Yone, of Karthus, of Ashe to an extent as well, you need to try and get the win early here if you're Team Trebuchet, and thus far, Trebuchet not really being as proactive as I would have liked, despite them having 3 kills on this Jinx. I think you want to have like 5 or 6 at this point if you're going to put all those eggs in the Jinx basket, or you want this Udyr to be participating a little bit more around the map.
Listen, I just got to give you a lot of credit because you've been on fire with the jokes so far. Zagan picking... I thought they were dead. Yes. I want to see... I want to look at the tapes. Because I swear Lysandra was just dead.
That was 1 HP. Like, it had to be single-digit HP.
Frame perfect.
Works for Smash, works for League. Apparently, Zagan stays alive, but... Like, look at the CS difference, though. It's getting ridiculous at this point. We've seen some pretty big CS totals come through last week, but this is tough to watch in that mid lane. It's climbing up on 50 CS once again here, and Alice Kander in the later stages of the game with that teleport is just going to sit in that side lane, and if Zagan or Op Ivy can't really match the Yone, then what do? That's my question as this game goes on. That's something to sort of think of.
Yeah, I mean, you have to maybe goon squad him or something, but I mean, Zagan really just needs to stop picking these fights. And you can see Alice Kander is just causing a lot of problems in the jungle here. Fate Sealed lands. Although, Udyr doesn't take a whole lot of damage at this point in the game. He's got a very tanky build, and they do manage to be able to hop on top of Alice Kander. Super Mega Death Rocket lands. Here comes the ultimate. Is the burn enough? Burn, baby, burn! Talus will be able to find Red Strike back. It's a 2-for-1 overall in favor of Trebuchet, though. They've got the kill advantage, but it looks like they're going to lose a couple of plates here.
Yeah, teleport down to this bottom side of the map. Zagan wants a piece of that Karthus, but it's quite literally... Oh!
He's going for it!
What?
Full flash forward, but will die for it. That's a kill going over to Karthus. Their 4th of the game. Staples showing up to the top lane to help out Op Ivy against Quaker. And let me tell you, Quaker has taken a whole lot of damage all of a sudden, and they will fall. It is a 2nd kill for this Udyr, as Mr. Worldwide has been all around the map with 5 assists so far, or 5 kill participation so far, I should say. But a lot of things going on all over the map, and some questionable decisions, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Staples on that top side gank, just pressing the button, that was easy. Able to find themselves another kill credit as well. Went for the Dark Seal, so just looking for a little bit of AP, looking like it is the Phoenix Max build there. But the bottom side of the map, the Requiem rings true. It is an Anthem for Death, and effectively Red Strike just burns down from taking all of that damage. Interesting angle from Lysandra. I don't know. They almost had enough damage, but almost isn't enough. It isn't a kill, and even if you turn that around, you get the shutdown, but you die yourself. So at best, it's a 1-for-1. At worst, you just waste your teleport and your flash and your ultimate and get nothing.
Hey, you remember that old Staples commercial with the song, I guess you're just what I need, just what I needed?
that's
Or
what
is that
Staples
maybe just an
is.
American thing? Yeah, but I mean, like that was exactly what Op Ivy needed up in the top lane because Quaggart was taking him to school for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Quaggart was dead. And let me tell you something: the CS pretty even up here. Op Ivy is doing exactly what they wanted to do in the game plan here, farming up, making plays around the map, and preventing Quaggart from doing much of anything. Uh-oh. That's a lot of damage in the words of the great Phil Swift, and the last turret shot will be enough. Alice Kander will fall. 1, 4, and 3 for this guy. Well, he's adept at killing minions, not so much at killing champions.
He went a little bit too deep there, still had the Fate Sealed available, still had the Flash, but, that's the troubles of fighting Alessandro under turret, but Red Strike.
There's the lollipopping on that hook. Your bad connection with the ultimate. They're going to stack the ultimates well. It's a double knock up. Here comes the ultimate. Talus will be able to find a kill onto Karma with that Requiem. However, Op Ivy showed up to be able to protect Wet Dreams and their very hefty bounty.
Yeah, Dreams able to stay alive with one of the biggest shields I think I've seen a Shen at level 11 have. That was massive. That was like all of their health bar.
Yeah, it was like I looked at him like, was it maybe like a Karma shield as well?
I mean, I would assume that
Karma shield himself.
Yeah, she should have shielded herself if that was the case.
But, I mean, maybe it was just protect the bounty, and like they didn't know it was late miscommunication. But we see another fight breaking out here, and let me tell you, Trebuchet does not have the health bars for this. Alexander flashing forward, teleports behind you. Nothing personal, kid. 2 kills there. A kill and assist for Alice Kander as they manage to wipe Trebuchet off the map. It is a 3-0, and the Dragon will be going over to the side of DPS. It'll be the 3rd Dragon taken of this game, 2nd for DPS. And Alice Kander dancing around the turret will be able to stay out of range, is going to get hit by it. They're so low. Sagan is going to be able to walk out without a problem. But just like that, it was a huge fight for DPS.
And it was Alice Kander at the end of that play also playing with fire once again, trying to go under the tower, trying to beat fire with ice in this case. But unfortunately, this time the ice is melted and turned it into water, being able to quench the fire in the mid lane that Alice Kander has. It's been a little bit of a difficult journey for this Lissandra because she's been able to find so many great picks on this Yone, but it doesn't matter as much as I think she wants them to, as this Yone's still scaling up, and once you get into that side lane there, if it is Zagan fighting against Alice Kander, they can't always rely on there being a tower nearby or being anyone else to bail them out. It's really going to be mano-a-mano, and in a lot of ways, that's where Yone wins the Y1v1.
Hey, listen, in the 1v1s, the ultimate doesn't do a whole lot, but in massive team fights, when you're able to shut down Alice Kander for a couple of seconds and allow Dreams to be able to just beat on him with the rockets, that's okay, but the turnaround, the flash, oh my god, they're both so low!
The bunguses!
Oh, the bungus beating. Oh no, Requiem, baby! Oh, he got the shield back!
The burn? Oh my goodness.
It's not enough! It's not enough.
First strike would have done something there.
First strike would have helped you there. I mean, does he get a Dark Armor stack for that?
I believe he does, yes. Off of someone around the map. There was a bunch of low members. Like, Zagan's pretty low as well.
Oh my god, Zagan is just getting the tar kicked in right now. Because it looks like the top turret will fall. It is the first turret of the game. That one will go over to Staples, as they've just kind of been chilling out on the side lanes and farming up in the jungle, doing their own thing. But it looks like this game could develop into a jungle gap pretty quickly. Alice Kander finding the engagement on the Wet Dreams. It's a double knock-up. Do they have all the damage? The shields are out there. Snap back to reality. He's thrown to the turret. Whoa, that was a sick move. Alice Kander with the moves. He's got the schmoves, baby. Alice Kander trying to chase down on the Red Strike. The slow is out. Red Strike with the tether, just trying to survive. But no, Alice Kander is going back in for it. But here comes the Stand United. Staples on the side, getting caught out, but is now on top of Connection. Connection does not have the mana, but Staples doesn't have the damage, doesn't have the HP. Teleports are coming down. Here comes Quaggart. But I don't know if Quaggart's going to be able to make anything happen. Never mind. They will manage to find 1 kill onto the Lissandra, but do they have more in the tank? They do have the Unstoppable Force available to them. They are just beating the tar out of Op Ivy right now. Ivy getting closer and closer back to the turret. Quaggart, you got to make a move here. Just do it, man. Just pull the trigger. He's under the turret. Quaggart, pull the trigger. Never mind.
He doesn't need it.
Auto attack. Nope, he does not need it. Held it that entire time and will be rewarded with another kill. 4, 2, and 3 on this Malphite. Deaths all around. I think everybody on the side of Trebuchet died.
Yeah, everyone went down at some point in that fight, but it's just messy fights erupting all over the map here, just kill after kill after kill. It's hard to follow everything. On the side there, Aliskander went down after Zagan and Op Ivy were able to rejoin that fight there. You know, Staples trying to find an angle, but gets caught out in a 1v2 in their own side of the jungle. Like, this bottom half of the map has just been blown wide open, and it's really caused some interesting rotations to come through. Thus far, tower advantage still going over to the side of DPS, but consistently finding more and more off of these fights and starting to push forward their gold lead. Oh boy.
Oh no, another engagement onto Zagan. Zagan is going to be able to use that Frozen Tomb on top of themselves. They will be A-okay, but we saw Aliskander does have a QSS now, so that's not going to mean anything at all. And what I find a really strange observation about this game is it looks like Team DPS is playing Trebuchet's game, but is playing it better. If you look at the DPS team composition, this is not exactly what they wanted to do. Maybe they're going to get a couple of picks here or there, and then they're going to do 5v5 organized team fighting, whereas it looks like Team Trebuchet, they're just trying to throw their bodies to the wall and see what sticks. And that's their game plan. But DPS is just doing it better right now. Staples in a whole lot of trouble. Quegger found a kill onto Red Strike. And Udyr from Udyr to Odyr, as they find themselves caught out between the three members of the enemy team. It's a 2-0 for the side of DPS, and they are now just starting to run the rift on Trebuchet.
Yeah, they can just run around as sort of a death ball, and they can look for Aliskander to sit in the side lane. And in a lot of ways, they do have pick potential. You've got the Ashe Arrow, you've got the Nautilus ultimate, you've got Malphite ultimate as well. Talus can just drop that ultimate whenever they so desire. It's already, 40% done with the cooldown. They've gone for this higher ability haste build here with the Leandries, of course, but Zagan here.
Under the turret, but it's Captain Jack. Is that you?
Jack, yeah.
The Captain Jack QSS was pretty sweet there. Another Dragon taking down this one. Talus is going to be able to get the kill credit for, and that does put Team DPS on sole point. And while this game was close early on, it looks like it's starting to slip out of the fingers of Team Trebuchet. Do Trebuchets have fingers?
Trebuchets do not have fingers. I think Trebuchets have removed more fingers than they have created.
Uh-oh, Sparrow wants to go in, but nobody else does. Nobody's in position. Sparrow, the shields, they're trying to get out. They're slowed. They're tethered. They're snared. Big knock of Aliskander going in. Is going to find two squishy targets. Here comes the Requiem. It's going to deal quite a bit of damage to Staples now. Getting lower and lower. Zagan low. Oak Ivy low as well. They will fall, and Team DPS just running over Trebuchet right now. Also, want to note, I said Requiem, but it actually turned out to be Shen Ultimate.
Yes.
Because it had the little visual effect. And then I looked over, I'm like, wait, Talus hasn't used his ultimate.
Yeah, Talus just holds the ultimate.
I just looked at the wrong person. No, their ultimate was on cooldown that entire time.
Yeah.
I just happened to look at the wrong person at the wrong time.
Zagan
getting caught out here. Sparrow very low. Here comes the Requiem. Not a whole lot of damage right now out of Talus. Dreams trying to force him away, as well as Red Strike. They're just trying to get as much damage as they can down. Desperately trying to keep the inhibitor alive, and while they do lose an inhibitor turret, looks like the inhibitor will still stay.
Yeah, they're playing with fire, and Staples official. They're mad. Angry homeless person runs at them.
Shen from behind, and now Zagan in the back line here. They're going to find a
Quegger!
Quegger blows him up. It's 2 kills for this Udyr right now. Now Quegger on the backside doesn't have a lot of mana and doesn't have a whole lot of health either. It's a shutdown going over to Zagan, and right now, Team DPS, they decided to give some gold over to Trebuchet.
Trebuchet are able to launch themselves back into this game just a little bit. They're still down about 6,000.
You're on fire, my guy.
Jinx has picked up the rapid fire cannon. Could be the rapid fire Trebuchet if they really wanted to make it that sense. But in this game thus far, this Jinx hasn't really been able to exist. You've got this Karma Shield to try and keep them alive from Talus's damage there, but you mentioned the ultimate not doing a whole bunch of damage. I saw Jinx's health bar just get halved there despite the Karma Shield, so it's a lot of damage that can even stack up over time because of the burn, and now with Shadow Flame, those Karma Shields make it worse.
Yeah.
Because now there's more damage. Yes, it will defend some of that just number damage, but you're still taking more damage overall. So if you are recently shielded or if you are below 1,000 HP or something, it's going to execute almost.
Yeah, that's pretty scary stuff. And you know what? Team Trebuchet, they probably don't even know it, man.
Yeah.
They probably have no idea what's coming next.
I mean, the next ultimate, if Talus doesn't show up on Vision until then, they won't actually know that he has a Shadow Flame. That's the fun part. I believe he's walking on Division right now. This is always interesting with Karthus because they're just able to engage from halfway across the map. And you're like, I took so much damage. What did I take damage from? Oh, he has 5 items now. Oh, how did that happen? Oh, I can't even see.
Oh, he's 9-3.
Yeah. I mean, Talus has had a great game despite we talked about the champion not really being in their wheelhouse. It's worked out.
Yeah, this is not a pick that I expected to see from Talus at all. You know, 2 assassins last week. They play a lot of Hecarim, so, you know, nice engagement. And now they're just playing a sit back and farm jungler and letting everybody else do all the work. And it is working. Aliskander, like we said, the Goon Squad was going to show up for him eventually. Fate sealed isn't going to be able to get him out of there. He's trying to make something happen, trying desperately to lead the team on a wild goose chase. He will fall for it. However, the Baron has been started by connection. Sparrow tanking up Talus here, and Quaggart on the way as well. And it looks like Trebuchet, they either don't know what's going on, or they just don't care. Oh! Super Mega Death Rocket! Not enough. Baron going to the side of Team DPS. And that is not great. It's about a 7k gold lead right now, and the Dragon coming up in 35 seconds. Aliskander with teleport available and will respawn before the Dragon comes up. It looks like we are primed to see a fight over the Soul, Adam.
And Soul 3-stack Infernal on a Karthus with Dark Harvest. And of note, checking the Dark Harvest stacks, 14. Almost level 16. That's big damage.
Yeah.
That's there's words I can use to describe that damage that I probably shouldn't use on this broadcast, but it is a metric F ton of damage. As here comes the fight.
Yeah, the engagement onto Staples. It's a big knockup by Sparrow. On the backside of the fight, Quaggart's trying to do his thing. Staples is going to be able to find the kill onto the Ashe. As Sparrow trying to do what they can. Quaggart will be able to find Dreams on the backside. It's Aliskander very healthy. Quaggart just does so much damage for a rock, bro. That's not fair. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? Talus will be able to survive. Here comes the Requiem to pick off the last member.
He smited something. Yeah, he smited the Raptor to stay alive.
He had to have.
Yeah, with the Turtle Shield as well, but...
Bro, why'd you have to do that, Staples? Like, I wanted to have the call for him to pick off the last member. And he didn't pick off the last member.
He's gonna pick...
You know, if they had the soul...
Yes. If they had the soul, it would have been enough. And
now they have the soul.
Yeah. And Aliskander...
did they get hit him?
They did? Oh, no, the Nautilus blocked it. Nautilus flashed to block it?
Yeah, he did. It was going to kill Talus.
Oh, wow. Good job, Fierce Sparrow, but wow, it's now 10,000 gold.
I mean, that's a big shutdown, too. That's a shutdown, too, so that's pretty heads-up play there from Sparrow, but now you can see, as you were just talking about, the gold lead is now in 5 digits. It is up to 10k. The middle inhibitor is gone. Middle inner turret, obviously, is gone. And, you know, what does Trebuchet have to do to catapult themselves back in this game? Like, I don't know if it's possible.
It's going to be difficult to get themselves back into this one. A lot of it is going to be predicated on Dreams able to output enough damage, but...
Uh-oh, here we go. Aliskander onto the backline here. Here comes that Shen ultimate. As Aliskander's in a whole lot of trouble. Op Ivy got into this fight. Staples trying to chase down Aliskander, and Aliskander will fall to the rapid-fire Trebuchet as Zagan trying to chase down onto the Ashe. Now Fierce Sparrow and Quaggart from behind. We know how much damage that Quaggart can do. Op Ivy does land the taunt. Dreams is going to be knocked up on the backline. The stun for Quaggart. Quaggart just, they're all there. Quaggart just fire! Quaggart, oh my god! Talus! The damage is a double kill for that Karthus. And now Quaggart taking a whole lot of damage, but still alive.
Talus is here.
Talus untouched. Talus is going to get stunned up. Op Ivy on top of Connection. Connection doing what they can to try to cut it out, and they successfully do. Shield onto Staples as Talus still trying to burn away at this Udyr, but Udyr, he's a little too fast. Is he going to be able to get out? He's going to bear form. He's going to go back in. What are you doing, Staples? Quaggart flashing on top of the Karma. Will be able to find the Karma, and now Quaggart is stunned and getting low, but with combined might of Talus, Connection, Quaggart will be able to survive. It is an ace for the side of Team DPS.
My goodness, what a fight from Team DPS. And Talus's damage just comes out of nowhere, over the top with that Requiem onto 5 members. Probably did 4,000 or 5,000 damage just off of that alone. MVP Quaggart once again just being the bungus. But yeah, Talus is level 17. Gonna finish up that Rabadons really quickly. And next fight is going to be decided by the Requiem. If Talus just opts to use it right at the beginning, it's gonna force out a Zhonya's, it's gonna force out the Karma Shield, it's gonna force out the Redemption. It forces out so much if you just use it right at the beginning. It may even force out a Shen ultimate onto someone. It's a ridiculous amount of damage to deal with. And thus far this game, you know, most farm in the game goes to Talus here. Going to be level 18 very soon. Has enough for that Rabadons. And it packs a punch here, you know. 463 AP, 19 Dark Harvest stacks, and now 607 AP. Oh, and you know, the Blighting Jewel in case you needed anything more.
Oh, no. Yeah, all right, so if Dreams doesn't get any shielding, do they die?
I think they live in, like, they take 80%.
Oh.
There's a stopwatch now, though, so it's going to get forced out. Realistically, Talos can pop it now.
You got to feel for Dreams this game, you know, getting that double kill early. Was 4-0 at one point in the game. And, you know, at this point, they've just been shut down by everything that the side of Team DPS can do. And even their ultimates have just been blocked as they've tried to shoot them off. And Red Strike here getting called out. Alice Cantor going to be able to find that kill, their 6th of the game. And, you know, I still feel bad for Dreams, you know. It's just, even though Red Strike was the one to die there, I still feel for this Jinx. All of their rockets that have potential to get kills, just getting blocked. It's like a 6-foot guy trying to shoot a basketball on a 6'8" guy. It just
it's like Yanni. It's like you trying to shoot a basketball on me. That's how it works. Here it comes.
Yeah, you're very tall. The Requiem. Dreams is in trouble. Here comes Quaggart. The shield is out. Quaggart on the backline. It's a big knock up there out of that Nautilus, and Zagan very low, and will just die to Talus's burn. On the backline, they do manage to find the Ashe. This is potentially a bad fight. Staples doing whatever they can on the backside. The ultimate. Boom, baby! From downtown, Jinx is going to be able to find a kill, but I'm not sure if it is enough. The inhibitor will fall. I mean, hey, it was a 3-for-2 in favor of Trebuchet. They're trying to hold the line, but Quaggart is busting it down on him.
I mean,
he might even be goated with the sauce. Alice Cantor trying to find a kill onto Red Strike. Red Strike will be able to head back to the fountain and survive. And Dreams is just able to clear out these minions. Will be able to find a way out, trying to kill Alice Cantor. Up Ivy on top of Alice Cantor, but isn't getting any help from Dreams. Here comes a knockup. They're going to follow it up with the Fate Sealed. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. Those two go down. And it looks like Alice Cantor and Quaggart will be able to knock down this Nexus. Red Strike, is there anything you can do? A new challenger approaches. His name is Zagan, but let me tell you, he's died 7 times already. Staples is here, trying to make a play. It's another double knockup, and look at all the damage that Alice Cantor is able to do. And he's just able to survive. He's going to knock up all 3 members. He's going to sheath the sword and find a kill onto the side.
No!
Now Staples trying to run. Adios, baby! Look at all. Oh my god, no, they just live. They just live. Stop it. I'm so mad. DPS takes the game.
Wow.
Listen, every time I try to say Karthus is going to kill somebody, Karthus doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah, that was an interesting game.
God.
That was fun, though. That was an insane amount of damage coming out from both of those teams, and it really looked like Trebuchet had an angle to get into that game and start to do that damage, but it just didn't end up doing enough. Feel like Trebuchet, they had a lot going for them in that early game, and it just sort of fell by the wayside as Talus, Alice Cantor, your bad connection even, they were able to scale up. And this bot lane from DPS, 2 kills apiece, 19 assists apiece. It was effectively just 2 supports in that bottom lane, letting everyone else run. And Quaggart, 11 kills on Malphite.
On tank Malphite.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a Quaggart diff, TBH. I mean, now let's call it what it is. Op Ivy played a really good game. Yes. Like out of everybody on the team, I actually would venture to say that Op Ivy probably played the best game out of all. I have to give him a lot of credit. Went out there on the Shen, on the Bungus, like, all right, you're just going to be protecting everybody, you're going to be farming up, and, did fine into Quaggart, but Quaggart was still able to find kills. And you know what? I'm going to say it, Malphite, overtuned champion. He does way too much damage for being able to build tank like that. He didn't even have a Thornmail.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too much damage coming through from that Malphite. So realistically, we just have to see what Trebuchet can offer in game 2, or if DPS are just going to be able to run over it and hop into Clash as quickly as possible.
We didn't really talk about it, but the Trebuchet composition kind of lacked damage.
It did. I think it became evident as you got into that mid game there. Udyr not going to give you a whole lot of damage. Lissandra as your secondary carry is not really an answer. And I think that's exactly what happened. Jinx wasn't able to get fed, and once that happens, you just don't have any more damage, and they just fell victim to their own composition, as you said.
Yeah, and this was the team that was really built to shut down the Jinx, and it is something that DPS did to great effect. But we will cut it to a very short break because I need to get some more water, and I need to study up on how much damage Karthus Ultimate does at various points in the game because I got to clean that up. But when we come back, we will be getting into the draft between Game 2 of Team DPS and Team Trebuchet. Do not go anywhere. We will see you soon.